What's happening, everyone? Today we're going to talk about everyone's favourite topic when it comes to fat loss. Now that's fasting or intermittent fasting, whatever you want to call it. Now I want to start the video off by saying I have no sort of bias towards any sort of method when it comes with diet or training. I just quite simply am a fan of what works and what I've seen work for myself and other people. I'm not involved in no diet cult or training cult. I'm just going to give you, the real information without any of the bullshit or trying to sell you anything like a lot of people do. So, as I said, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting and specifically to fat loss. And we're not going to talk about fasting for building muscle or health benefits of intermittent fasting because that's a different video. We're specifically talking about fasting for fat loss. Is it the be all and end all? Does it make such a big difference? Why I don't recommend it? And just a couple of reasons behind it. Okay, so first things first. Now I've got an example here on the board. I've got someone. Now let's say we have person A and person B, and they're both eating the same calories, 2,000 calories. Okay, the first person is deciding to spread 4 meals throughout the day, 7 a.m., 12, 4, 8. Okay, he's splitting his 2,000 calories into 500, 4 meals. Okay, across the day. Then you've got the person B, who's going to be following intermittent fasting. They're going to have 0 calories, 7 a.m., 0, 12 p.m. And then they're going to eat 2 big meals at 4 and 8 with 1,000 calories each. So they're basically fasting for what that may be around 16 plus hours of the day, whatever, from when they sleep and they eat their last meal the night before at 8 p.m. and then they don't eat again until 4 p.m. the next day. So that's actually a 20-hour fast. So that's what they're going to do. And then they're going to have like a 4-hour eating window. Okay, so what you'll see, they both equate to 2,000 calories. Okay, but there's a couple of differences when it comes to actual protein distribution and all that sort of stuff when it comes to actual protein synthesis, and then when it comes to actually carbs and performance and all this type of stuff, which I'm going to get into now. But the main thing is, it's all about calories in versus calories out. If you decide to get your protein and your calories by 2 big meals or 4 meals spread throughout the day, you're going to end up on the same calories. So fat loss is it's a law of thermodynamics. Calories in versus calories out. Okay, if you burn more calories than you consume, you're going to drop body fat. You could just eat 1 meal, 2,000 calories, and you're still going to drop the same amount of body fat. Okay. But this is where it gets interesting. Now, we can still drop the same amount of body fat, but then what about when it comes to maintaining lean muscle tissue and performance in the gym? That's where intermittent fasting falls down for me. If it was just about dropping body weight on a scale, there wouldn't be a difference. But if we're trying to maintain as much lean muscle tissue as we've got when we're in a deficit, and we're trying to maintain performance, this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting. Now let me get into it now. So here we have protein synthesis or muscle protein synthesis. Now what I like to see is 4 to 6 feedings throughout the day, spread evenly throughout the day, around 3 to 6 hours apart, with at least 25-30 grams of protein in. Okay, as you'll see here in the blue writing, this is the protein dose. Okay, now you have person A who's eating normally 4 meals a day, have a 50 gram dose in the morning, 50 gram dose here at 12, 50 gram dose of protein at 4, and then 50 gram dose at 8 p.m. So 4 protein feedings spread throughout the day. We're stimulating muscle protein synthesis, which is extremely important when we're trying to maintain lean muscle tissue when we're in a dieting phase. And then you have someone here who's following intermittent fasting. So they're not having any protein feedings in the morning. They're just going to have 2 big bolus protein feedings of 100 grams, one at 4 and then one at 8. Now for me, that's just not the smart way to go about things if we're trying to put our body in the most optimal position to actually hold on to muscle tissue, because when we're in a deficit, our body is going to try and get rid of things that it doesn't need. Okay, the body will get rid of muscle tissue if it doesn't have a reason to hang around. Now this is why would you run the risk of fasting for that amount of time when you spent all that time building muscle mass, you spent all that time building that lean tissue, slaving away in the gym with your training and your diet? Why would then you fast for all of this time and just give your body the opportunity to potentially eat into amino acids and proteins for fuel? Why would you do that? it just doesn't make sense to me. Now, fasting, if that works with somebody's lifestyle and that's what they have to do, they have no other option, they can't eat in the morning. Well, if they had to eat 2 or 3 meals, is it going to make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things to them and their lifestyle? Probably not. But again, there is what I like to say, there's a very big difference between just trying to be someone who might look good on the beach and have some abs and a little bit of muscle mass and a little bit of a bicep vein. There's a big difference between that person and then someone who wants to be an absolute fucking jacked unit, who wants muscle everywhere and wants to be as strong as they possibly can when they're lean, as lean as they can, and just look in real good shape. There's a difference between those two things, and that's what a lot of people don't seem to grasp, because, to put it frankly, they are in that position where they've trained for a long time, they've got a lot of muscle mass and a lot of strength, so they don't know what that's like. Everyone's just happy with a little bit of a beach body, some abs and a bicep vein, and they see some guru talk about fasting and that's what they follow. But when you're actually looking to the science of it, if you're actually trying to become the best you can be, it's not something I would recommend. It would be fasting and just having these smaller protein feedings, okay? Now, it's not just about protein feedings, although I think that's one of the big issues why I'm against intermittent fasting. It's also things like your carbohydrates and your performance. So if you're shortening your eating window and you have to train at 7 AM or 12 PM and you haven't ate any food for hours and hours before, you're going into your training session basically with one hand tied behind your back. You're going into a session on low glycogen, no carbs, because you are fasting. So then your performance in the gym, if you're on low glycogen, you've got no carbs in your system, you're going into the gym in a dieting phase with no carbs in your system. Good luck trying to maintain performance. Now, that is a surefire way to make sure that you're going to be dropping and losing muscle mass as you drop body weight. If you can't maintain your performance for sets and reps across the board because you're maybe feeling lethargic or you're feeling tired on a given day, that could easily be avoided if you just had some carbs before you trained. No, but because you're following intermittent fasting, because some guru told you on the internet, you're now going into your training sessions weak as fuck and you can't lift the same amount of weight for sets and reps. So then what's going to happen? Performance goes down, the body doesn't receive the same signaling to keep the muscle hanging around that it once had, so you're just going to drop muscle tissue. The body will just drop muscle tissue, it does not care. So that's one of the big things why I would like to see 4 feedings throughout the day. Get some carbs in your system before you're going to train, if you are going to train around this time. If you were someone who was training at 8 PM and you had your meal here at 4 PM and you're following intermittent fasting, that probably doesn't apply to you. But I know a lot of people who follow intermittent fasting, they're going to train early in the morning. So that's something you need to be aware of. The strategies that you can put in place to help you with that if you are intermittent fasting of a morning. So potentially you can eat a big meal. So here, this would be a very high carb meal the night before, so then when you got to here 7 AM you could train and you may be okay. That's something you can do. But then again, it comes back to the protein feedings. We want to try and make the body as anabolic as we possibly can, and we only do that by we can do that by the actual training session itself, or digesting enough protein at a meal, so around 25 to 30 grams of protein, which is mainly coming from, you're looking for the main amino acid, the powerhouse for that to stimulate protein synthesis, it's leucine, so you probably need about 2.5 grams of that, which equates to around 30 grams of a good source of protein. So that's why we're trying to space that throughout the day, 4 to 6 feedings. 4 is going to cover all of your bases. So again, that's one of the reasons why I'm against intermittent fasting when it comes to being as lean as you possibly can while holding on to as much muscle mass and strength. Case in point, I know we talk about bodybuilders, IFBB pros, we know they're on a ton of gear, all this sort of stuff, but you won't see any of them intermittent fasting or fasting deep into a contest prep when they're about to step on stage. Very similar with natural bodybuilders as well. I don't know any natural bodybuilder who stepped on stage lean and on the run up to their competition, they have been following an intermittent fasting protocol where they were fasting for 20 hours a day and then they were only eating 2 meals. I don't know anyone who's done that. So again, the proof is in the pudding there. So you need to be very careful where you're taking your advice from. Unless you're doing it for specific time constraints and there is no way that you can eat any sort of protein, which again, I think that's a load of bullshit, because someone could have some sort of a protein shake, even if you can't eat full, whole big nutritious meals, which are loads it out on your plate, like you may be able to do a 4 8 p.m. That's fine. You can still have some sort of some protein shakes to tide you over here until you can eat bigger meals here. But the key is to get the protein doses. Okay, that's one of the big reasons why I'm against intermittent fasting, and that's the whole reason behind it. So again, I've personally never followed intermittent fasting. I've never employed it with any clients when we're trying to get lean, when we're trying to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. I would only ever employ it with clients if they, again as I said, it was with their job and they genuinely could not eat and there was other things going on. Okay, but again, 99% of the time, I'm never gonna ask someone to follow intermittent fasting. Okay, so that's my thoughts on it. So just let me know what you think. If you have any more questions, any more videos like this, just let me know and I'll get to it. Alright, speak to you soon.